So that was the finished product, the $400 gaming PC. Now that I have it built, I'm going to show you guys how you guys can build one for yourself and what parts I put into it. Let's get right into it. So let's start off with the CPU. I chose the AMD FX 4300 clocked at 3.8 GHz quad-core processor. It's a $75 processor that works just fine in this build, but if you want, you could upgrade to a 6300 for $20 extra for better performance. But in this build, to keep it under $400, I had to choose this one. For the motherboard, I chose the MSI 760 GMA P34FX Micro ATX AM3 Plus motherboard. It's a $51 motherboard, so usually they're about $45, but today it's $51. It has all the features we need to get the graphics card in, the CPU, and the RAM. You could also do a little bit of overclocking on this board, which makes it good. So for the memory, I chose the Kingston HyperX Fury Black 8GB DDR3 1866 memory. It's about $35, so if you want to get cheaper memory, you guys can get any other brand as long as it's DDR3, so it'll fit in the motherboard. So for the storage, I chose the Western Digital Caviar Blue. It's 1 terabyte, so there's not much more to say here. Fits in the PC fine, and I think it'll hold all your files, games, but if you want, you could add an SSD onto it to boot up faster and hold some of your games. Now onto the big part of this build, the video card. I was thinking about getting a GTX 750 Ti because of how cheap it was, but just for a little bit more, you can get a GTX 950 that'll run any game just fine, as you'll see in the benchmarks later in the video. Now on for the case. I chose the DIY PC P48W ATX mid-tower case. You could really choose any case, but this one was so cheap and it looks really cool, so I ended up choosing this one. Now on for the final part of the build, the power supply. You don't really need too much for this build since it's pretty small, so I got the EVGA 430 watt 80 plus certified ATX power supply. It's $33, so you could really just get any power supply for cheaper, but since this build only takes up about 275 watts, you might as well get the 430 so that you could upgrade later in the future. Now let's get right into the benchmarks. On Battlefield 1 beta, this PC was getting about 47 FPS average on medium settings. Mind you that this is without any drivers for Battlefield 1, so it's probably going to be a little bit better optimized when the full game comes out. Just for $400, 47 frames is very respectable. It comes around a little bit better than with consoles. So you could call this PC a console killer. And on low settings, it was always getting 60 frames. It dropped down to 52 minimum on low settings. So if you just need a PC to run Battlefield 1 and play with your friends, I would recommend getting this PC for $400. Or you could upgrade just a little bit, like I said previously, 6300 and 960, and a GTX 960, that's what I mean, for just a little bit more. So yeah, this PC is very playable on medium settings, Battlefield 1. Now let's get right into the Overwatch benchmark. So on Overwatch, this PC was getting 71 frames average on high settings. That's very good because this is only $400, and on a competitive game like Overwatch, you always want to have it at 60 frames. So high settings was the way to go because everything above that got a little bit below. It was still playable, but again, in a game like Overwatch, you just want it to be as optimized as possible, so I would play it on high. Alright, so here's one final look at the computer. I hope you guys enjoyed. Next time I'll try to edit on something different, like Sony Vegas Pro, so there's transitions and stuff. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video.